face of a child. Has anyone told you that?
The what? The face of a child?
Yes.
A face of a child that drinks gin and tonic. That's what I
It's a very sickly child, but every child starts out okay, but there's always bumps in the road. Every child is perfect. Out of the womb, fresh in the arms of the parents, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Always. And then it just screws up as it gets on until it ends up like something like you. I want to talk a little bit about how does one indoctrinate children and all the effects that come with it. But before we do that, just as a general plea to all those watching, we greatly appreciate it if you share this video, you like this video, comment, give us suggestions for new ideas, and also we really appreciate it if you donate. We do this on our own time and dime.
It's Christmas time coming up. Christmas time.
PayPal is great. Also, you can become a monthly supporter. Both are greatly appreciated. Anyway, on to indoctrinating children. So, just to start the ball rolling on this conversation, what do you think? Are there any pros to indoctrinating children? Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing inherently? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good way to start this off, by the way, because every child, as soon as a child pops out of the womb, they're being indoctrinated. Let's face it. Left to themselves, children would poop and pee anywhere, right? So even toilet training is a form of indoctrination, but it's necessary. It's necessary for the child to become civilized. And live
otherwise, they're like you, where you just poop over everything.
I just poop anywhere I want to.
So
in the at the get-go, you're right, Alex. All of us start out being indoctrinated by our parents. There's another level. It's called acculturation, because our parents are the results of having grown up in a culture, whatever that culture happens to be: Christian, Judeo, Muslim, atheist, whatever it is. So they grow up. All right. So, but what's the object? The key here is asking this question: at what point do parents and schools stop indoctrinating children? Not whether they indoctrinate children, but when do you stop doing that? Because even when you send the child to school, the child's going to be indoctrinated. Dorothy Sayers said that. A number of philosophy of education, great minds have pointed this out. When you send your child to school, you should send them off in the morning and say, now look, Johnny and Mary, you're going to be exposed to ideas that your teacher wants you to adopt and then spit back on exams. Fine, but develop your own ideas. Always think about whether these ideas, what might be wrong with these ideas. Is there another way to think about these? So it's up to the parent as they send their child to school. You know this because you were homeschooled, okay? Because you were homeschooled, anybody who's homeschooled, that's the way you guys proceed. You proceed that way. Here's what Aristotle said. Now, maybe Aristotle is wrong, okay? Here's what Bertrand Russell said. Maybe he's an idiot, okay? So the major fault here always lies with the parent. They're the first people to blame for indoctrination. Secondly comes schools. Third comes religions or lack thereof, atheism or religion. And fourth, of course, is the general political culture itself. That's my scheme of things. Okay, I completely understand and to a large degree accept what you're saying about indoctrination, but then comes the question, can we blame the person for their views? If someone believes X, Y, or Z, and they've been indoctrinated their whole life, how is it fair of us to blame them if they're just the product of indoctrination? Where's the responsibility? Now you're bringing in another element called blame. And I think what you might mean is judgmental. And maybe you mean both. I don't know. But with your mind, it's all over the place.
Both and you taught
both me, okay? And yes. Okay, so let's talk about it in the both and context. Good, I like that. So, yeah, some people do blame. They do blame, let's say, a college kid who's 19 years old. They blame them for having a fetish for social justice of the left outlook on things. Or they may be, they blame them for being indoctrinated by their Christianity, their religion, or their scripture, or whatever. Yeah, but that's just indicative of a shallow mind. as Aristotle remarks, the sign of an educated person is somebody who can entertain an idea without necessarily accepting it. That's what it means to be a well-balanced intellect. Now, if you can't be a well-balanced intellect, that's a sure sign you have been indoctrinated. All right. Now, should we be judgmental about that? As educators, I think we have to be. I think we have to be judgmental. Blame is a different thing entirely. Blame is though they've done something wrong. But judgment can be about an idea. I can judge an idea as being valid and sound, or not valid and not sound.
That's pretty straightforward stuff right there. I'm going to wrap this up in just a bit, but I want to end on this point. This is the probably the most important thing, the climax of this discussion, and that is, how do you think that, if you do, believe that indoctrination has taken a wrong turn? How has it gone wrong? And what are the steps to potentially correct it in our education system?
That's a really large question.
You have 3 minutes. Go.
Okay, all right. First of all, the school of hard knocks will knock bad ideas out of your brain. All right. And that's why talking to older people comes in handy, because once you have faced alcoholism, a drug addiction, a divorce, many failed sexual encounters, a financial ruin, or failed enterprises, once you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, you have been knocked around by the school of hard knocks. And if you still have an ironclad, indoctrinated outlook on life, and you have not changed your views since you popped out of the womb and were indoctrinated at the 8th grade, then there's something wrong with you. I mean, you'll never be happy, for one thing. You probably have a miserable marriage and rebellious children on the other. But so that's one answer to the question. I only get 30 seconds left. I realize that, but the other answer to the question is that if you're lucky enough to have good friends in your life, and I've been very lucky. I have you. I have a lot of people that over the years who respectfully disagree with me and have changed my mind on many things. So a lot of it has to do with luck. So it's either luck or the school of hard knocks will actually cure indoctrination in the long run.
Interesting. Okay, so final follow-up question. Do you think that that'll work with everyone? Do we just have to be stoic about it? Is there anything we as a society can do?
I'm afraid that we're not all born with equal skills, abilities, interests, temperaments, intellect, logic, taste for evidence, and a taste for the qualitative detail artistically. I'm afraid we're not all born equal. There are just some people they have just lost the lottery of life. They've just lost. They don't have it. I know it sounds terrible to say something like that in this utopian craziness of our society, post-enlightenment craziness where everybody's supposed to be rich, handsome, and successful. That's just unrealistic. That's just unrealistic. So the answer to your question is, it's not going to work with everyone. No.
Well, then, I suppose everyone should look up the philosophy Stoicism and start there. Otherwise, burst into tears at that response.
Marcus
Thank you,
Aurelius,
Professor McIntyre.
Meditations. Read those.
Absolutely. Seneca, I find to be one of the better ones of the Stoics. That being set aside, thank you very much for that terrible outlook. Have a great day.